Greetings Indie Warriors and welcome to I Dream of Indie. My name's OldGamer Joe, bringing you a review today of Rollerdrome, an action sports shooter from developer Roll7 and publisher Private Division. I always admired skilled Tony Hawk players, but I must admit I'm complete trash at that series, and I have no idea why. The controls just never seemed to click with me, and I would always end up out on my ass. So from the outside looking in, I was initially a little intimidated by Rollerdrome. It is a game, after all, where you're on roller skates performing stunts, and yet I got sucked in by the stylish gameplay trailers that were shown. The combination of skating and shooting could be a blast if executed on properly, right? Well, I'm pleased to report that not only does Rollerdrome handle this fusion of different gameplay mechanics brilliantly, but it's also one of the best releases thus far in 2022. Rollerdrome takes place in the not-so-distant 2030, where you take control of Kara Hassan, who is competing in a game of life or death known as the Rollerdrome Tournament. In this tournament, you'll be rollerblading and shooting your way through a gauntlet of different challenges in hopes of surviving until the end and claiming that victory cup. Outside of the initial story setup, you'll get a few slightly interactive first-person segments that progress the plot forward, and while stylish and immersive, you won't find any deep character interactions or emotional story beats in Rollerdrome, nor is it a game that needs them. Trust me, your adrenaline will be pumping regardless. Rollerdrome features a full campaign broken up into 4 different sections for a total of 11 different stages. You'll also unlock a bonus mode called Out for Blood, which adds even more replayability to a game that already had quite a bit of content. While 11 stages may not sound like much, these stages have a massive list of side challenges for you to complete, and depending on your accessibility settings, which are brilliant in this game, you'll need to complete a set amount of these challenges in order to advance further. While perhaps a bit intimidating at first, Rollerdrome's very responsive and extremely fun to play once you get a handle on the controls. You'll skate around these arenas using the left stick, hold A and release if using an Xbox controller to jump into the air, and then here comes the first part of the fun, doing grabs and stunts while you're airborne. These are accessed with the X button while airborne, and you can move the stick in different directions to perform different types of grabs, some of which will be worth more points than others. Add in more advanced techniques like flips and spins, and you got yourself a game that feels like Tony Hawk in many ways, but alleviates much of the frustration as you don't have those major wipeouts as you could in that series. No, here your character's actually quite graceful, like a cat, which helped with the pacing and flow of pretty much everything in Rollerdrome. Oh, and of course, don't forget about the grinds, plenty of grinding. So how does combat play into all of this? Well, this is a do-or-die tournament after all, and thankfully you'll have 4 different weapons to take down enemies with. You'll start with standard dual pistols, but eventually have a shotgun, a laser gun, and my favorite, the grenade launcher. Reloading doesn't involve skating around or collecting ammo that way, rather, you replenish your ammo by doing different stunts throughout the arena. It's kind of genius. So you're just skating these arenas, you got your weapons, you also have a dodge roll to avoid incoming gunfire, and it's a beautiful marriage, I have to say. Rolling and grinding, shooting. It's a delicate dance, yes, but exhilarating throughout. And because the game does feature such wonderful accessibility options, no player will feel frustrated or left out of the action. Shooting feels great thanks to a lock-on reticle that is fairly generous, and I loved how each gun had its own set of advantages and disadvantages, even if I could have used maybe 1 or 2 more weapons, or perhaps a badass melee attack, but that's a minor gripe. Okay, there is a little bit of slowing of the action if you activate your reflex time, which will help you to shoot down enemies with a bit more precision, and it looks stylish to boot. Of course, as you might have guessed, run out of health, and it's gonna be game over, but kill enemies and pull off nasty combos, and you'll gain some of that health back, thus preserving the run. Rollerdrome does introduce a few more gameplay elements such as wall riding a bit further in, but does so in a way that's nice and slow and doesn't overwhelm the player. It's really hard to describe just how much fun this experience is unless you have your hands on it, but trust me, this game just feels awesome. Bit of a learning curve? Yes, but the ideas here were so fresh, the gameplay so fluid, it was a real welcome vacation from the slew of roguelike and Souls elements that seem to infest nearly every new release now. It's still a challenging and fun experience without having to force any of that stuff, and it remains accessible throughout for anyone. As far as level challenges are concerned, there's a good variety here as well. You'll be performing combos, maybe shooting down mines, getting high scores, so you will have plenty of reasons to return to levels over and over again in order to check more off of the list. The game also features leaderboards, which is another wonderful addition as well. Do you want to simply enjoy the campaign and go through it? Turn the challenge requirement off and just go for it. In fact, I've said this a few times now, but the accessibility options here are just phenomenal. While the video and audio settings are pretty par for the course, players are also able to adjust screen shake, subtitle size, contrast, and then toggle assists. Do you want to feel like an unstoppable god? Turn on invincibility. Want infinite ammo and reflex time, or to adjust the speed of the game? No problem. This, indie developers, is how you include everyone and make your game far more appealing in the process. Another area of strength in Rollerdrome comes from its gorgeous cel-shaded visuals. So simple yet so beautiful, with colors that pop and good variety of different environments. Snowy landscapes, rocky mountains, even a shopping mall. This game looks outstanding in motion, running at well over 200 frames per second at times. Explosions are satisfying, and everything just has a great futuristic look and vibe with phenomenal effects and not a single hitch or performance issue to speak of in my time with the game. A game like this needs great performance, and Rollerdrome doesn't disappoint. This visual treat is accompanied by a pounding synthy soundtrack with very hard-hitting techno kick drum, loud explosions, bullet fire. Some of it can actually mask the great musical compositions, but it is just the recipe this game needed. I loved it, and I love everything else about Rollerdrome. So much, in fact, that I'm actually going to award this title our elusive Golden Genie Lamp of approval. This game brilliantly fuses together Tony Hawk skater gameplay with third-person shooting mechanics, and that creates a game that feels fresh, fun, and exciting in 2022. This talented team of 44 have created an action-fueled romp with wonderful replayability, gameplay, visuals, and sound design. Strap on your skates, this is one hell of a ride. We thank you so much for supporting clickbait-free content here at I Dream of Indie. We couldn't possibly make it without you and these brave indie warriors and legends. At the Indie Warriors tier, we have Bill, Adriana Amato, CJR, Julian Kolbis, Ray Lynn, Marky Mint, Dave Hart, Peekaboo, Lex Noyle, Christian Cruz, PSC, Solaru C, Chic Geek, Ancha277, and Acrophobe. Indie legends include Nathan Moore, Skeptism, Jen Rose, Chris Jackson, Mr. W, Blue Francis 14, The Beefarinis, Business Cody, Chiron, Jace Glover, King of the Hatch, Ophidian Mind, Lord Metroid, Seacoil, and Larkison. Thank you so much for everything that you do for independent developers, publishers, and for I Dream of Indie. Everybody else, head down to the description box below. Let's defeat the gaming echo chamber and bring a voice to the voiceless ones in gaming.